Hello, B1 family, and welcome back to the YouTube channel, The Big Black American Secret. My name is Daniel Jackson. And before I get into this video, I want to read to you the goal of the channel. And also in this video, I'm going to talk to you about the Black Irish. As I talked about it in one of my other videos, I've been doing my own family history, going back in my father's line. His last name is Jackson, and Jackson is a Scott-Irish last name. So I've really been digging in, and I've come up with some gems. And I think you will be very surprised to learn what I'm about to tell you and show you today. But anyway, the goal of this channel is to build an unstoppable army of knowledgeable, black, melanated people in America and around the world that understand that we as melanated people have one enemy worldwide, and that enemy is the system of racism, white supremacy. Our mission through education is to replace this evil system with the system of freedom, justice, and equality as laid out by Dr. Frances Cress Welsing. We will need your help in building this knowledgeable army. You can help by subscribing to this channel, by donating to this cause through Cash App or PayPal, and by sharing the videos you watch here and any knowledge that it is shared. In doing so together, we help fertilize the mentally enslaved, colonized minds of black, melanated people worldwide, creating the perfect mental conditions for our children to grow up in a better, more balanced world. Dr. Frances Cress Welsing's video will be in the description. Also, if you have not already, please share this video, like, and subscribe to this channel. Hit the bell icon to be notified. Hit all so that you'll be notified when I make new videos or go live. Okay? So that being said, we're going to get right into it. I'm going to have to turn my screen around in a second. Yeah, I'm going to show you a image of King James, and this image it's in a video from a person who I follow.
Here, the Scottish kings of
Kurimio Aha. This guy, he digs down deep into old books from Scotland, Ireland, from Europe and Spain and America, and he really goes back far and deep. So if you get a chance, Kurimio Aha, go to his YouTube channel, subscribe to his channel, and follow him as well. I like to give credit where credit is due. No sense in recreating the wheel, if you understand what I mean. So what I'm going to show you is the true image of King James. Yes, the guy who wrote, or his family commissioned the writing of the Bible, the new translation, the King James version. This is this fella here. Okay, give me a second to get this queued up.
England. All right, so here he has a picture of King James. All right, so this is an image he has here of King James. All right, so he got little curly hair and stuff. So they're showing here. So James, by the grace of God, King of England. All right. He says, I know that this image of a black King James can be a little confusing because of your Western education, but this is the truth that is known by the rich and the elite in the world. That was the reason I paraded all of the English historians and professors before I got into the bowels of this book. I have to get your mind ready to receive the truth. King James came from a long line of black Scottish Stuart kings, the Stuarts. 343 years of rulership in Scotland. The Stuarts not only ruled in Scotland, they ruled France, Spain, and Ireland, and England, Britain, and Wales. King James was able to rule all these lands because of all these people were of Iberian black descent. All right, so were all they from Iberian, or did some of them come from Atlantis or America? Right? They were the same people. If you look at the ball in his hand, it represents world rulership, and there was only one other group of world leaders who used this type of symbolism, and they were the Byzantine Roman emperors. Remember, they told the English that they were Roman citizens. This is the proof. All right, so he's saying these Britons have something to do with the Edomians or Edomites. So this is one of the signs of scholarship when you're able to read the symbolism of images. In my research, I found out that the ancient Scottish was a tribe from northeastern Ireland, which means the Scots are really Irish. So if I have seen an ancient Scot, I have seen an ancient Irishman. And if I have seen an ancient Irishman, then I have seen an ancient Briton. All right, it says here, chapter 3, Oliver Cromwell.
Okay. And again, me doing research on my own family line on my father's side, because on my mother's side, we're Blackfoot Indian, Sioux Indian, and my uncle also told me we have German and Irish ancestry. Okay, and on my father's side, his last name being Jackson, and I don't know a whole lot about him. I'm currently hoping to reconnect with him so that I can talk to him. You understand? But just doing paper research and going and just digging into the last name Jackson, I've discovered quite a bit. And the main thing that I've discovered is that Europe was like Africa. It was a continent full of black and brown people. Now, you saw an image of King James, and that picture you saw came from a book. The book was called The Negro Question Part 4, The Missing Link by Lee Cummings. If you get a chance, go and support that author. He's a black fella. He's a black guy, and he has done his research. Let me tell you, which is awesome, right? So now I want to show you something else, a little bit of proof that the people from Ireland, the Irish people were black. Of course, their ship logs. The Irish were being sent to America as slaves. The captives in those wars, the Jacobite wars, were being sent to America as slaves or indentured servants. The king gave them an offer they couldn't refuse. Either die here in these prisons or be hung tomorrow or agree to a term of service in the newly formed penal colony called America. Yeah, it was a penal colony. And you can work off your indenture. This way you got a chance at freedom. After your contract is up, which is between the year, maybe 10 to 14 years, probably for them, other people, or 7 to 10 years. But anyway, after their term of service, they get their freedom. Some of them got land and stuff like that. So they was free though. So it was an offer you really couldn't refuse, in my opinion. And they shipped thousands of black Irish to the colonies. Now, there are books where it says white servitude or white servants or white slaves. The thing is, the term white did not mean skin color back then. White meant European. White meant European. And if I get a chance in this video, I'll prove that to you. But I'm gonna try to remember that toward the end. But you know what? Maybe I could pull it up now. Yeah. Well, let me first do this. Just a little proof that Europeans, a good number of Europeans, look like you and I. Let's see. Yeah. Benjamin Franklin wrote he was real mad that the England wanted to send a whole bunch of German people here. They were called Palatine Boers at the time. It's like I don't know if that was a slur name or what, but Palatine Boers is what he called them in his article. And he also called them Germans. But England wanted to send a whole lot of Germans to the colony. And Benjamin Franklin, the fellow who's on your dollar bill and who flew the kite with the key, electricity, he was an inventor. And I think he stole a lot of inventions from black people, but we'll let that rest. But anyway, he wrote a huge article, and he was very upset that they wanted to send all of these people here. And I'm going to read the last couple of paragraphs of this article, and you're going to find out why he's pissed. This article is very telling. It tells you a few things. And I want you to listen to the things that it tell you, and then I'll reiterate. But anyway, here's the article. Of course, this is Benjamin Franklin, and this article is called Observations Concerning the Increase of Mankind. And this was wrote in 1751. This fella is a direct source, an eyewitness account. As far as resources go, you almost don't get any better than a primary source, an eyewitness account. So I'm going to scroll down to about the last two paragraphs. And what I'm saying is, what this is a very telling document, okay? And so here I'm going to read it. It says, and since detachment of English to Britain, sent to America, will have their place at home so soon supplied and increase so largely here, why should the Palatine Boers be suffered to swarm into our settlements, and by herding together establish their language and manners to the exclusion of ours? Why should Pennsylvania, formed by the English, become a colony of aliens who will shortly be so numerous as to Germanize us instead of us anglifying them, and will never adapt our language or customs any more than they can acquire our complexion? Which leads me to add one remark. The number of purely white people, skin color white people, in the world is proportionately very small. All Africa is black and tawny. All Africa is black and tawny. Tawny means brown, and it still is today. Africa is full of black and brown people. Context clues, and you can look up the word tawny. It means brown. Asia, chiefly tawny or chiefly brown, and he's right. The Asians before, or during this time and before this time, the Asians looked like you and I. They just had the phenotype with the slanty eyes. You understand what I'm saying? America, exclusive of the newcomers who were the pilgrims at the time, wholly so. Wholly so what? Black and brown. America, exclusive of the newcomers, black and brown, wholly so. And in Europe, the Spaniard, the Italian, the French, the Russian, and Swedes are generally of what we call a swarthy complexion. And swarthy means a black complexion, a dark complexion. As are the Germans also. The Germans are black. See, so he was upset they were sending a whole bunch of black and brown people here who they probably wasn't going to be able to convert over to their customs and manners because they was going to be hanging out with themselves and each other instead of blending in. Okay, so he was very upset about that. The Saxons only accepted, who with the English make up the principal body of white people on the face of the earth. So white people's numbers are very small. He said that himself. White people's numbers have always been very small, but because of the system of racism, white supremacy, they cast the illusion that white people are of the majority because they always call people like you and I the minorities, which all automatically forms in your brain an idea that you are low in number when you are very much the majority. He just said all of Europe is black and brown. The Spanish, the Italians, the French, the Swedes, the Germans. You understand what I'm saying? All of these people are black and brown. The Saxons and the English are the only exceptions, okay? Make the principal body of white people on the face of the earth. He says, I could wish their numbers were increased. He wished it was more white colored people. And while we are, as I may call it, scoring our planet by clearing America of woods, they're cutting down trees and building plantations and homes and sending some wood to England as well. So they're cutting down woods and making this planet a brighter place. He really means, anyway, I'll read it and I'll interject a little later. And so making this side of the globe reflect a brighter light to the eyes of inhabitants of Mars and Venus. Why should we, in the sight of superior beings, those Martians from up high looking down at the planet, darken its people? Why increase the sons of Africa by planting them here in America? Why send more black people over here from Europe? Sons of Africa, dark-skinned people. Where we have so fair an opportunity by excluding all black and browns, all black and tawnies, of increasing the lovely white and red. Okay? But perhaps I'm partial to the complexion of my own country, for which kind of partiality is natural to all mankind. Now, white and red. Of course, you know, they call the Indian the red man, right? This is a 1-cent copper penny. And it's damn near identical to the back of my hand as far as color goes. The definition of the color of the penny is, matter of fact, let's just Google it real quick. for people who are unfamiliar with the channel, I go over this definition in quite a few of my videos because it's amazing the level of brainwashing that has been put on black people throughout the world is incredible. It is absolutely incredible. And that's why we must destroy the system of racism, white supremacy, because it is because of the system of racism, white supremacy, that we do not know who we are. The name of this YouTube channel is called The Big Black American Secret. And the secret is you are an Aboriginal American. You are an indigenous American, which means you come from the dirt of this continent. There was no mass migration out of Africa at not one point in time. That too is a racist white supremacist lie to keep them in power, to keep them in ownership of Europe and America. Okay, so let's Google the color of the penny. Let me see, color of a 1 cent copper penny. Okay. All right. So. All right, and here's a graph of pennies. The pennies at the top are newly minted. You see it says red. These here are brown and red. And then at the bottom, brown, right? So I'm going to read this right here. It says, to accurately grade copper coins, you must be able to describe the color of the copper. Over time, the brilliant orange-red color of a freshly minted copper coin, such as a Lincoln cent, will diminish and fade to a deep chocolate brown color. A deep chocolate brown color. As this degradation of color occurs, there are varying degrees in which both red and brown colors will exist simultaneously on the surface of the coin. This color designation only applies to uncirculated coins. These are uncirculated. See how bright they are? Now, all circulated coins are assumed to be brown. So back then when they were saying the red man, they were saying the brown man. You see what I'm saying? It's amazing. But to me, it seems like it was almost the only way they could designate different people. Think about it. The black and brown people in Europe were considered swarthy and tawny. The black people in Africa were called black and brown, and the black and brown people here were called the red man. It's kind of like when you got two grandmamas. Your grandmama on your daddy's side and your grandmama on your father's side. The child calls both of them grandma, but in order to make a separate distinction between the two, you might call your grandmama on your mother's side. I'll give it my grandmama's name, Alice. So Mama Alice, Grandmama Alice. And the one on your father's side would probably be just grandma. You see what I'm saying? The one who you were more close to is just going to be grandma. But then the other one would be, it's a distinction. I was raised up with my grandmama, so my grandmama was just called grandmama. Everybody else around called her Mama Alice. You know what I'm saying? She was everybody's mama. But anyway, y'all get the gist. There, you have to be able to put people in categories and separate them off. That's just a human mind trick. That's what it does automatically. And you see it happens in what I just showed you. In Europe, the black and brown people were called swarthy and tawny. You see what I'm saying? The American Aboriginal, American Indian, us, yours and my relatives were called the red man. They try to push off on us these images of the Mongolian breed of Asian. You know what I'm saying? That was the Mongolian breed of Asian, the Eskimo, crossed the land bridge back. They say crossed the land bridge called the Bering Straits about 13,000 years ago. That's what leading paleontologists tell us. So they migrated here from somewhere else. They're not from the dirt of this continent. Matter of fact, if you get a chance, look on your 2020 census. Under the section where it says American Indian, at the very bottom, it says Eskimo community. These people are Eskimos. The Eskimo were a minority tribe, again, of a Mongolian breed of Asian. Weren't a whole lot of those people. You know what I mean? But of course, our public school systems, TV, comic books, there was a heavy campaign to force on our minds that those people were the Indians, and they were not. It was your relatives and mine, the Aboriginal American. All right, so the color of the penny I showed you. Now let me show you this, just to prove to you who you are, and to show you why you've been going through hell on this planet. What I have pulled up is the definition of American in the year 1828. That definition is important because this dictionary was written before the system of racism, white supremacy kicked off. Before the system of racism, white supremacy, there was just European domination. And the Europeans were both black and white. I just showed you that from Benjamin Franklin told you himself that the Europeans here and abroad were both black and white Europeans. Okay? So this book was written before Charles Darwin wrote his book about the origins of the species and natural selection, which put into the minds of white people, primarily from Europe, that they were genetically superior. That didn't happen until 1859. Yes, 1859, that book was printed and highly circulated. And white people went fucking ape nuts. They took it and ran with it. You know what I'm saying? Subscribe to this channel. Go back and watch my videos. It'll explain to you the origin of the system of racism, white supremacy. Okay. Now, I didn't mean to get off on a tangent, but I believe somebody needed to hear that. Now, here's the definition of American in the year 1828. It says American, a noun, a native of America, originally applied to the Aboriginals, so people from the dirt, or copper-colored races. Copper-colored races, that penny, that 1 cent copper penny, that's copper. That's brown. That's you and I, okay? Found here by the Europeans. Now, this part of the definition explains to you what's been going on here in America and abroad. It says, but now applied to the descendants of Europeans born in America. So American now applies to the descendants. This person's children are now considered the Americans. If these people can get rid of the Aboriginal American, they can now be Americans. You see that? That's why we catch hell, a strong part of why we catch hell on this continent. This land is our birthright. These people are foreign invaders. But you see how this works. Whenever Europeans get mad at somebody, what's the first thing they do? They say, go back to where you come from. Whenever they get mad at anybody, a Mexican, a Chinese person, anybody, they say, well, you just going back to where you come from when they ain't even from here. You see the head games? Okay. Yeah. Okay, so that definition tells you, one, who you are and why you've been going through hell on this planet. These folks are stealing our identity, our land, labor, and our resources. And they've been doing this for a while now, at least since Charles Darwin wrote that book. You understand what I'm saying? And two, you have to understand what I'm telling you here. You had the Europeans, both black and white, and they both were teaming up on the Aboriginal American as far as the negativity. These Europeans look down on the native peoples here. You understand what I'm saying? And so the goal is to clear the confusion. You know what I'm saying? And of course, this particular video is to show you that that Europe sent a whole bunch of Irish slaves here to the colonies as indentured servants or slaves. These people were prisoners of war, captured during King James' reign in England. You know, so a whole lot went on in that time span. Okay, so now we're going to move on to a ship's log where it has these people that were sent here. These was Irish people sent here, and it's got a description of these people, and you have to see this. You have to see this. This is from a book Where is it at? Okay, yeah. This book, it's an old book. It's called, and I hope you can see this, Jacobite Gleamings from State Manuscripts, Short Sketches of Jacobites, the Transportation in 1745. And transportation actually means the transporting of slaves during this time. And this is by a fellow named J. Macbeth Forbes. Okay? Now, I'm going to scroll down till I got it pulled up here somewhere. Yeah, this is the book. But anyway, I've got it pulled up, and I think we're going to go to page 48. And again, you could do this yourself too. I think it's one of these pages. Okay, yeah, right here. Okay. And this is a ship's log of 150 rebels that were sent off in the belly of the ship. Now, I'm going to make this a little bigger. Okay. Now, hope you can see this. It says, this is the person's number, their name, their age, profession, the county they came from in Europe or Ireland, the stature. This is their height. And these are remarks about the person. Okay. And we'll go with the first one. We're not going to go down this whole list, but we're going to hit enough of them to where you start to see what the real truth. Okay. So now I want you to pay attention to some of these people's last names, because some of these people have your very last name. Okay. Robert Adam, age 18. He's a laborer. He's from the county of Stirling. He's 5'1.25". Remarks: he's brown, smooth face. William Bell, 46, a weaver from Barrett County. He's 5'4", black, curled hair, strong made, black. Now, you see the names and you see the people. You got Campbell's, Edwards, Gordon, Goodbrand, Grant, Kennedy, Johnson, Keith, McLean, McIntosh, Gordon, Morgan, Murray, Ogden, Monroe. And I got some cousins with the last name Monroe. Gillis, Donald, Douglas, McKee, McCormick, Nilson, Robinson, Ross, Robinson, Stewart, Smiths, Sharp, McGills, Lackey, Bain, Gillis, Thompson, Stewart, Scott, Chambers, Claverings, Hamilton, Kennedy, McKenzie. And matter of fact, my last name is on here as well. Jackson, see this? William Jackson, age 19, a laborer from Angus. He's brown, lusty, strong, well built. And just look at this list, all of them. You've got black. This person is red hair. This is black person, light, fair hair, good face, brown, black, brown, sandy hair, brown. And where you see D-O, that means ditto, ditto, ditto. This person's black and straight. Light hair, brown thin, fair hair, cockpitted. That means that they had bumps on their face, old scars from bumps. I think they had the chicken pox or something. They call it cockpitted. This person's black, lusty and ruddy. This person's brown and thick, fair complexion. They had to describe these people because, again, they're slaves. They're being sent off as slaves or indentured servants. So when these people got off the ship, you had to be able to identify them. You know what I'm saying? And of course, when you identify somebody, you're going to definitely say their complexion. And of course, if they have any scars on them, their hair, how tall they are, stuff like that. But you folks see this. These people, some of them are light-skinned, some people are pale, but the majority of these people are black and brown. And we all thought all Europeans were white. This is what they taught us in school. This is what they teach us in publications and everything. See what I'm saying? The system of racism, white supremacy is so evil. It has taught us that the world is a white world and we're just small black people. A small number of black people in the world. When in fact, it's just the opposite. You know what I'm saying? Because the truth is, white people are an albionized byproduct of black people. You've all seen albinos. You can get two blue-black people give birth to an albino. That is the precursor to the Caucasian race, and it still happens today. But the difference is, during the Ice Age, and they say the Ice Age lasted about 10,000 years, in Europe and Asia, there was an overcast in certain parts where the sun wasn't getting down to the ground. So, of course, the sun not getting down to the ground is going to give people with albinism a chance to thrive, because when the sun is in normal in full bloom, it gives those people skin cancer. They don't make it too long. Again, think about it. They're a genetic defect. They're not supposed to last long anyway. But the Ice Age gave them the time they needed to multiply and thrive. Black folks in cold weather, it's just the opposite for us. You block the sun, we're not getting the appropriate vitamin D we need for the sun, and our bones start to do weird things, and we don't do too good in cold weather. You know what I'm saying? And I found it strange that what's his name? Bill Gates is talking about, blocking the sun to help cool the earth. You got to be careful. That Bill Gates fellow, I'm gonna tell you that you block the sun, you can cause all kind of damage to crops and stuff like this. They've got no interest in cooling the earth in that capacity to help the planet. No, they want to, in my opinion, based on education and understanding, they want to turn back the clock as far as they saw what happened during the Ice Age. Their numbers multiplied. You see what I'm saying? If they could recreate those conditions, their numbers increase, because they are right now in negative birth rates. It's more of them dying every year than being born. And that is a scary spot for them white folks to be in. You understand what I'm saying? That's why I'm kind of leery of what's been going on with the, I don't want to say it because they be banning stuff when people talk about that, but y'all know what I'm talking about. You know what I'm saying? So I didn't mean to go on a tangent right there, but I think somebody probably needed to hear that. Okay, so Europe, primarily black and brown people, large majority black and brown people. America, red man, brown man, full of black and brown people here in America. Of course, Africa, black and brown people. You see what I'm saying? So you probably saw your last name on that list. Here's what took place. Because a lot of us thinking, well, we was told that, we have our slave master's last name, a lot of us, you know what I'm saying? So we couldn't help but to believe that. But no, here's what took place. A lot of the Europeans that came, that you are attached to, was actually your family members from Europe. Irish, German, Scottish, Spanish, you know what I'm saying? Because here in America, if you're an American, if you're a black person, here's your backup. Here's some people who may be in your line, your bloodline. Sephardic Jews, Moors, Black Irish, and Black Indians. I say black. It's only one Indian, that's us. The other people are Eskimos. So Sephardic Jews, Moors, Black Irish, and Aboriginal American. Now, the Sephardic Jews and Moors, why did I say them? These were the first people to own plantations here in the Americas. They were given land grants and patents from the French government and the English government to start the slave plantation to feed labor to the sugar plantation in the plantations in the Caribbean island. Those being the first slave plantation owners, of course, you know what I'm saying? There was some mixing going on. You feel me? So you might have some of that in your bloodline. And this stuff is so interesting. We all must do our own genealogy, dig into our own family lines to know the truth. Because the stories we've been told is all lies. Even slavery isn't exactly what we think it is. Here's what I mean, and this is what I'm leading up to. If you have European in your family, that was more than likely not a slave owner. It was a family member. And here's why I say that. There's a system that they started here in the States, and it was called the head-right system. I got it pulled up here, but it says the history of the head-right system. The head-right system referred to grant of land, usually 50 acres given to settlers in the 13 colonies. The system was used primarily in Virginia, Georgia, North Carolina, South Carolina, and Maryland. It provided to be quite effective by increasing the population in the British colony. Okay, so the head right system. Oh, and as a matter of fact, this is important too. It says the head right system was originally created in 1618 in Jamestown. Why is that important? Because they said in 1619, when they first brought over the first 20 and odd Africans, slaves. Y'all remember that? Very important. Okay. So what that means is, if you have a farm, you could get free land from the government. They would grant you land, almost up to 50 acres per servant or slave that you have, or indentured servant or slave that you have. The head right system means that you can put your family members down as servants. You write a contract with your children, your sons, your daughters, your wife. They're put down as servants on your farm or your plantation. And now your farm has more acreage to farm. You know what I'm saying? It's going to make your family more wealthy. So when you look up the records and you're going back and doing your own genealogy and you see somebody on there with a European name, you can't assume that's a white person. That was probably your European great-great-great-grandfather. And the people he have on there as servants are his family members. That's why they have the same last name. They're all family. So a lot of the time, it wasn't what we thought it was. It was the head right system, you see. And this system for here started in 1618. And then when they started shipping all these black Europeans over here, and all of a sudden we get the image in our brain of African slaves. No, they didn't send African slaves here. The first slaves who came here was these European blacks. These was your first slaves, indentured servants, most of them. And then they started to entice the Aboriginal Black Americans into the indentured servant system. Now, don't get me wrong. They also enslaved our ancestors. There were 94 documented Indian wars between 1492 and I think like the late 1800s, for the sole purpose of enslaving Indians to put into the slave trade. You know what I'm saying? So they enslaved Indians and sent them to the Caribbean, sent them to even Sierra Leone, Africa, West Africa, Spain, and Europe. You see what I'm saying? But the first documented slaves, a lot of them was on this manifest that I just read to you, and a lot of them had your last name. I know I saw my last name there. So it's worth looking into. What we have to do, people, is a term that I heard. It says, empty your cup. You know what I'm saying? Empty your cup. Pull out everything you've learned and refill it up with the truth. You understand what I'm saying? Empty your cup. You know, come to learn. Don't automatically get offended when you hear something that's contrary to what your slave master told you, because he obviously told you about the out of Africa theory. He told you about DNA. That scientific racism goes right along with the Neanderthal gene. You see what I'm saying? All of these things were told to us to take what belongs to us. Our identity, land, labor, and resources. You see, people? It is time for us to destroy the system of racism, white supremacy. We have to replace it with a system of freedom, justice, and equality. Dr. Francis Cress Welson's video will be in the description. Okay, people? So the head right system. So now, you had black Europeans, and a lot of them were your relatives, not your slave master. There is if you get a chance, there's a video, and I want you all to, matter of fact, I'm going to put the video in the description of this video. It's the story of James Ellison. Is it James Ellison? No, William Ellison. He was a large owner. He was an owner of a large plantation here in America. He was a black European. You understand what I'm saying? His story was, I'm going to say it was whitewashed until they found old documents that were under the house. You know what I'm saying? And the documents laid out a whole bunch of facts about the family. But they were black people who owned slaves, you know, and a lot of us thought that, black people didn't own slaves, and that's not true. A lot of black people owned slaves, but a lot of those black people were black Europeans, you know. Now, don't get me wrong. Slavery is a business, you know. It wasn't really like it wasn't a race thing. So you probably even had indentured, our relatives who had indentured servants to help work our land, or slaves. You know what I'm saying? It was business. But from what is being revealed now and the truth that's coming out is we have to really look at everything from a fresh perspective. We just didn't know a whole lot of nothing. We was all just told what we was told. You know what I'm saying? Now, the head right system, we went through that. Okay, let's see what I got pulled up here because that'll help me remember. Okay. Yeah, all right. So I pretty much went over what I wanted to go over. I wanted to show you that there are black Europeans. And my people, my last name Jackson, that's a Scott-Irish last name. You know what I'm saying? So that last name goes back to King James and the Jacobites. There was a bunch of wars, and a lot of those people from Scotland and Ireland and Germany were sent here as slaves from Europe. And again, they were black Europeans, okay? On that note, I'm going to end this video. But again, subscribe to the channel, like the video, because that'll help get the message out. And if you believe that you have been lied to about who you are, I want you to put down a little comment just say, I believe I've been lied to. You know what I'm saying? And just by you admitting that some of this stuff might possibly make sense, it's pricking your genetic memory, you'll start to want to go down that path to learn who you are. You know what I'm saying? So, you can just put been lied to, you know what I'm saying? And if you don't put been lied to, if you just want to put in be one, because we have to be one. We have to all be on the same page. Now, don't get me wrong. Black is not a nationality. Black is just a color. It's a crayon color. But because of the system of racism, white supremacy, there's two teams. There's team white supremacy, and then there's team black. By default, we are on team black. Our skin color is our uniform. You understand? It's not our nationality. So all black people on the face of the earth are negatively affected by the system of racism, white supremacy. There is no group of black people that's exempt. And the Haitians found that out pretty quick this week or last week. You see what I'm saying? And a lot of Haitians, they had their heads in the sky. You know what I'm saying? They thought that they would, when they come over here, they're better than black people. In fact, a lot of them are taught don't even hang out with black folks. Like something wrong with us. They think if they come over here and they get up next to white people, they'll do okay. And technically they will. You know what I'm saying? If you are an ass-kissing bootlick, you will do well. Because white supremacy will reward you to help destroy other black people. It's a fact. All of your celebrities, artists, people that are doing well, these people are tools for the system of racism, white supremacy. A lot of them don't know it, but the simple fact that they are blessed with a lot of resources and exposure, and they do nothing for their people, is proof that they're a tool for the system of racism, white supremacy. People, you're on the right channel. You are on the right channel. I'm glad you're here, and I'm pretty sure the universe has guided you here on purpose and for a reason. And that reason is to help us build an unstoppable army of knowledgeable melanated black people who wish to destroy the system of racism, white supremacy, and replace it with a system of freedom, justice, and equality. And you cannot do that if you don't know what's going on. You have to understand this system of racism, white supremacy first. And that's why Dr. Francis Cress Welson's video will be in the description. Okay? Now, I said I was going to end this video a little while ago. I'm going to end it for real right now. So be one family, and I'll see you on the next video.